Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Welcome, Vicky. You are still standing and I am grateful.
Oh my word. Hi,
everybody. We
are
still standing. It's been one of those days of like nonstop, never ending, batshit crazy tech problems. And I know a lot of people look at me and they're like, but you're the one who does all the tech stuff. And I'm like,
oh my word.
The number of times that things have gone wrong today. So I am just grateful to be here. I'm in one piece. I got my COVID vaccine yesterday. I felt like I'd gotten run over by a Mack truck today.
Oh my goodness.
I had an event that I was running this morning that we bagged. I went to log on for the Zoom meeting for the second event I was supposed to do at 1 o'clock, and I logged on to the wrong Zoom account.
Oh.
So everybody was sitting there waiting for me to start the event. So I mean, it's just been one of those days that I just have to laugh and giggle. And then a bunch of people in my mastermind proceeded to gently roast me and started the hashtag Haley pushed me. Because their theory is that I keep nudging them up a hill, right? And I get them right to the edge of the cliff and it's like, fly, birdie.
So. Okay, well, you pushed me and you got me to where I needed to be tonight, but oh my word. Oh my word. If it could go wrong, it did.
Right? Computers.
From keyboard not working to this is a brand new computer, everybody. This is a brand new computer as of like 2 days ago. I just got this. The tech was in here and he installed it. Brand new computer. Oh, wait, the keyboard isn't typing the password. So how do I sign on? The speakers are buzzing. They weren't doing that yesterday, but I've got a camera now. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But
Isn't it great fun? But you look fabulous.
Well, thank you. I thank you. It's better to look good than to feel good, right? Bring the body, maybe the mind will follow. I'm not sure, but I'm trying it.
I'm thinking that the body is looking pretty darn good.
Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Getting old, it takes a lot to get there. And I see all the freckles, Haley Gray.
All the freckles. I have lots of freckles.
Yes, you do. Have you been in the sun? Lots of freckles.
I have lots and lots of freckles. This is way too many years of growing up in the tropics and sunburning on top of sunburning. And then my parents would hand me the baby oil.
And then
by the time I blistered, then they'd give me the SPF 4 sunscreen and then send me back out to water to play. And growing up in Rio de Janeiro, I wore the itty bitty little teeny string bikinis. So I sunburned everywhere. So I have freckles everywhere. I am such a freckled, speckled person.
You're an Easter egg, right?
I feel, kind of like a robin's egg.
I was in line today and a woman had been at the beach and she was all sunburned. And she was so sunburned that her skin was puckered, like to the point where if you move, you might tear. And you could just tell the way she was moving. It was just, she was bright red. And I thought, this, we all know better than this. We know better.
We do know better, and yet it happens. And some of us that are really fair just burn to a crispy fritter in like 15 minutes anyway. So I mean,
it's not me, but it's my brother, and you're putting on 40. You're putting on 40 and 50. That's the way it is.
Yeah, 40, 50, keep slathering, going crazy. Yeah. So gratitude practice is kind of an amazing thing when shit hits the fan, right?
Right.
And I'm kind of giggling today because it's just been one of those days where not quite everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. That's not really true, but it's definitely been one of those days where things keep hitting the fan. And that gratitude and that ability to be resilient is so important. As I see a lot of people who really struggle with that gratitude and resiliency. And especially as business owners, I think it's even worse. How do we become more grateful? And how do we become more resilient? I think that the two are interrelated and inextricably twined together.
I think that's a good point, because often gratitude is its own topic, but I think resiliency comes from burning off the dross. We get tested, we get put in the fire, and it's that resiliency is the result, is that I'm going to see how you do. And people say, that which does not kill you makes us strong. I don't know. I'm not so sure.
And I'm not so sure about the whole God never gives me more than I can handle.
Yeah, that's not real either. That's somebody, that's somebody talking like from.
That's some kind of like trite, like,
What was the movie with Julia Roberts and Dolly Parton and Sally Field and the Southern Women and the daughter died? It's from that movie. It's that kind of a. I don't think it's real, because I think certainly if you look around at people who have cracked up and have been done in by their circumstances. Steel magnolias. Thank you, sir. Yes, my husband said it's steel magnolias. Yeah, we know plenty of good people who've gone under from their circumstances. And
Right. And how do you keep from going under from the circumstances? And I think that gratitude for me has played a huge part in that.
That's a very good point. I have an acquaintance, a friend, I should say a friend, who has an ill child, a very ill child, a schizophrenic daughter. And recently diagnosed, combine it with COVID, combine it with husband's job loss, and she attempted suicide and went to
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean.
That does not surprise me.
Here's the part that was stunning to me, and that was she went to a hospital in County X, there for 4 weeks. Her psychiatric stay was in the ER, because there wasn't a psych bed in this county or in any of the contiguous counties around her
and
county.
Probably for any 5 hours around you. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no beds.
And I think, other than somebody fixing 3 meals a day for her, what care did she get to make her better? Other than, okay, they put her on some meds to stabilize her, to help with the depression, help with the anxiety, whatever it was. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think about this, and I think the resiliency ran out. She just couldn't do it anymore. And what a lovely woman she is, and what a caring and giving woman she is, and just said, I can't do this anymore.
But that's what the hospitalizations do nowadays. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it and not to be too terribly cynical, but our experience with 18 hospitalizations basically showed that, really all they're doing is med management. There's really no therapeutic aspect of the hospitalization. They're really not delivering DBT or other therapy, that somebody would need to make a long-term change. And, it's limited at best.
Well, and that's not what psychiatry is anymore. Psychiatry used to be caring for people, and now it's just picking the drug, ordering the drug, watching you on the drug, and changing the drug if you don't do well on it. I mean,
well, and usually if you don't do well on it, they just add another one.
Well, that's a good point, and then you get zombie land. Yeah, I have a friend.
And if they haven't,
child who she said her brain was fried from too many drugs.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You're saying the same thing she did.
Yeah. You saw our experience with my daughter, where we ended up having to go for a longer term hospitalization, not because of anything else, but because one of the hospitals discharged her on 8 different medications, 3 different antipsychotics, lithium, and another mood stabilizer, and some other anti-anxiety medications. I mean, it was just life-threatening.
How do you walk and talk?
You don't. You don't.
Mm-mm.
How do you know what the drug interactions are? You don't. How do you know it's working? You have no clue.
This is reckless to me.
It took them almost 8 months to wean her off of most of those meds.
And then you don't know if they're getting better or worse. And then you're back where you started from.
Yep.
It's something.
And happy Easter, Beth L. Casey. She is commenting on my personal profile, so it's not showing up here in StreamYard.
Blessed Easter to everybody. And
it's Maundy Thursday.
Maundy Thursday, right? Tomorrow's Good Friday. So I think it's very important as business owners to be resilient. You have to be.
And you have to develop a deep well of resilience, because shit happens. It happens often.
Yeah.
You know, so not only do you have things that happen in your personal life, you know, your relationship with your husband, your children, all of that normal stuff going on, you know, but you're also, if you're a business owner, you are responsible for making decisions that, you know, all of the decisions. So you end up in decision overwhelm fatigue mode, I think, a lot of times too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to put too fine of a point on it, but I mean, you've experienced this as a business owner yourself, where, you know, people look at you to make all the decisions. This is how we're going to market. This is how we're going to do this operations piece. This is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do that. Oh, my Lanta.
I haven't heard that one before.
Oh, my Lanta.
And you can't do it all.
No, and you can't. And one of the things that I learned is, you know, when it starts all hitting the fan at the same time, to take a moment and just be grateful. And sometimes eat a bar of chocolate. Because chocolate
helps a lot of people.
Chocolate is a wonderful therapy.
Time and chocolate heal all wounds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my friend Lou Ellen says, time and chocolate heal all wounds. She's so funny. Mark and I came to her mama's funeral, and I said, what can I do for you? And she said, I want a 5-pound bag of peanut M&Ms. And so I brought the
5-pound bag of peanut
carried
M&Ms.
that bag in her handbag through that funeral. Just I'd see her reaching for the bag. There's her mama in the casket with a pack of cigarettes, a deck of cards. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is too much resilience, right?
Absolutely, right? We all develop our coping mechanisms.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Oh my word. And you think about the little things that you do in life that are coping. And you know, some people with rosary beads. Let's not even get into better living through chemistry, right? You know, think of all of that. But it's always right here, folks. I got this lemon Coke, and it's going most of the day.
I have a fidget spinner that I fidget more or less incessantly when I'm sitting here at my desk.
I fidget when I'm, and I'm wondering what tools we can talk about that we have employed.
Gratitude is a big one for me.
Eating
regularly, believe it or not,
sleep.
Getting adequate sleep makes a huge difference to the food cravings.
If I don't
exercise.
Yeah. All right. So we talk about food, sleep, and exercise.
And then spiritual practices.
And I was going to say prayer is something that the recognition of I have a higher power and I'm not it is that humbling. You know, I think you turn away from the stuff that you're doing that you know you shouldn't be doing. Ask and you seek and you knock and you try to go down a better path. And I think that, you know, the word is repent, and that just really offends people when I say that word. But it's, if you think about it, it's choosing not to do those things you know you shouldn't be doing. And knowing that, you know, oh gosh, I didn't mean to do that again. I did it again, and I don't want to, and I want the tools to behave differently. I want to. It's that gets us to some resilience. because then we're becoming the people we're supposed to be. We're fulfilling our purpose. And our purpose is to be our highest self.
Absolutely.
It's easy, especially when we're stressed, it's easy to cave into our lowest self. It's easy to cave into our weak self. You know, like, screw it, I'll just eat
lizard brain takes over when we get stressed, when we get tired, when we get angry, when we get overprocessed, overstimulated. You know, and it's, for me, it's also about recognizing the danger signs and removing myself from the situation before I say something I know I'm going to regret, or doing something I know I'm going to regret.
You know,
and gratitude is one of those ways that I can remove myself and stop the chain reaction from going any further.
You made a very good point about before you say something you're going to regret, or before you do something you're going to regret. And a friend of mine taught me an acronym that has been very helpful to me, and I share it with people, and often people come back and say, you know, I carried that one around in my back pocket, and it's HALT. H is for hungry, A is for angry, L is for lonely, and T is for tired. So, I mean, that covers what we're talking about: food, sleep, exercise, spirit. We're talking about all those things that when you do not have that under control, and it's easy to not eat well.
Oh, and you sometimes don't even notice that you haven't eaten in all day.
Hours. Yeah. And I'm one of those people that never eats breakfast, and I'll get around to lunch, or I'll grab a cookie or something, and just really bad habits. And then you wonder why you're not coping well. It's because you're not filling yourself with good stuff. And when you're not coping well, when your emotions are up like this, your intellect is in inverse proportion to your emotions. Right. If you're out of control, you're not thinking clearly. Correct. So, you know, we've talked about that before, that the homeostasis of spiritual, of physical, of, you know, all those things have to be in balance. And your emotions, you got to keep, you know, like the stereo equalizer on your computer screen. What's the bass? What's the mix? What's the treble? It's got to be in balance. And it's so easy to get out of balance if you haven't had sleep, if you haven't had adequate food. And we forget about those things because we get involved in something, or somebody needs our attention. And, you know, put your own oxygen mask on first. If you're not doing that, then you can't adequately care for someone else. And
no, you can't care for your business. You can't care for anything else if you don't put your own oxygen mask on first. It's kind of funny how that happens.
And I grew up hearing that was very self-centered. And no, you can't be any good to anybody unless you're taking care of yourself, unless you're, you know, you got to do right by yourself. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Totally.
So what are you doing for Easter?
I am driving up to Virginia and egg dropping 2,000-ish Easter eggs at my son's school.
That's fun.
That are candy filled, yes, Starbursts and Hershey's Kisses and all kinds of fun stuff. And they're all sitting over here neatly in boxes, waiting for me to load them into the back of the car for their journey to their destination on Sunday morning.
So who is doing the hunt?
So this is for all the boys at my son's school that are going to be there on Sunday.
So are you the only person doing this?
So I have stuffed all the eggs while I was sitting here, you know, at various meetings. And then I have some parents that are going to meet me and chuck eggs out on the football field. And my husband is joining me. And it's going to be a question to see how fast we can chuck Easter eggs. Because we have about 45 minutes to chuck eggs. And I'm going to guess we may end up with some staff help. But yeah, we have a whole little army of parents who are coming to chuck eggs.
Are the kids in quarantine?
The kids are not totally in quarantine, but they're definitely not.
Is this why you're not handing them to them?
Well, no, we're dropping them on the football field and then setting 70 boys running to go do an Easter egg hunt.
That's fun.
And, and they're a bunch of grown ass boys that are, 7th to 12th grade.
They're still boys too.
So why am I not handing them their eggs? Oh no, they need to go find their eggs on the field. It'll last about 30 seconds.
I think that's fun.
How fast do you think they can run a field?
Not long till they scoop them all up.
Yeah, it won't take long. There'll be about 70 there that day. So it'll be almost 30 eggs a kid.
That's fun. And who's videoing this?
Some of the school administration is going to video this, but like I said, it's not going to last very long.
I hope you put it on your site.
I'm hoping to be able to get a video. I'm waiting for my COVID test to come back. If it doesn't get back in time, then I won't be able to stay on campus.
Oh dear.
Because I have to have a negative COVID test to be on campus to stay.
Okay, I didn't know if you had been exposed or not.
No, I had to have a PCR test because I am traveling in from out of state. Because I'm crossing state lines, so they want us to make sure they're doubly extra sure. So we went and I took the COVID test yesterday before I went and got my COVID vaccine yesterday.
Back. I'm worried about this because first it was a 2-week lockdown, then it was a mask mandate, and then it was businesses closed and schools closed, and now it's everybody needs a vaccine, and now it's, oh wait, do you have your vaccine passport? And I find this very offensive and very very worrisome about people's freedoms. And I understand that there are classes of people who are protected classes. You're 80 years old. I get that. But I find this very disturbing, that if it's okay for a government to break the law in the case of an emergency, there's always going to be an emergency. And I was talking to a teacher tonight. She's not been in school since March 13th.
I think it depends on the school district. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I do too.
It really depends on the school district and how many kids they've got. Like, my kids are physically in school.
It's about the teachers. And the teachers are saying, well, I've got an elderly parent at home, or I've got a sick kid, or I've got
I think here in our area, they normally have 35 to 40 kids in a class, which is too many, honestly. But the teachers should have all been vaccinated by now, and they're all going back to in-person school. So, I mean, if they're not going back in every instance, I mean, that's a problem with that particular school district.
Yeah, or particular state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
and there's no common anything here. So, we could go off on a tangent about it, but I'd rather not here. I think that there's a lot of things going on and a distinct lack of leadership on a lot of levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for a lot of people, why go back to school if you're getting paid to stay at home? And that's certainly the teacher I was talking to tonight said that's the way a lot of it is. And she said a lot of her students, she teaches developmentally delayed kids. She teaches
IDD kids.
Yeah, and she said they are so behind from not being in school. She said, you wonder if they're ever going to catch up. And she said, and many of them, their parents are not doing what they need to do to keep these kids current or keep them, I don't know. It just seems, it seems just so wrong on so many levels.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'd rather not go into the discussion about it here, but I don't disagree with you that there's definitely been a lack of leadership and a lack of thinking things through and addressing things. And especially when you're dealing with vulnerable populations of students, there's not been enough. Absolutely.
Yeah. And China hasn't closed their schools. So here we are, even more behind. It's so we have to go back to becoming resilient. And resiliency is a discipline. I think that you become resilient by, feel the fear and do it anyway. You get back in there and you do it again, or you don't give up, or you know what I mean? It's that continued practice when you don't feel like practicing anymore.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of that.
But I was really glad to hear you say the thing about, you're not so sure God doesn't give you what you can't handle. I think God loves us very much, but I don't think that's part of the
I don't think that's a real thing. I mean, I've been given plenty more than I can handle at times. And, there's definitely been cracks around the edges. And, I think that it's taught me a lot about dealing with, business and life in general, and learning how to handle those completely awful, chaotic types of situations.
And the older we are, the more we've faced and the better at it we get. And my brother and I were talking about this the other day. A friend had died, and it was very sad. And we both said, you think we'd be better at this because we've done it so much. And we both
mean that you are.
We both said, no, it's getting harder. It's because the numbers are stacking up, and the people that we've said goodbye to is stacking up. And so the experience with it has not helped. It's sadder than it used to be. And I don't feel as resilient about that as I once did. And maybe it's because we're getting older too. It's the top of the fourth.
Physiological changes happen. That you have to be aware of and address and stay on top of. There's a lot of things that can happen there. But anyway, gratitude. I mean, it's one of those cornerstone pieces of managing the chaos. Life, kids, work, business.
I think acceptance is another piece there. And I don't think that's an easy one, especially when things feel unfair. And then you say, fair is where you go and get cotton candy. But acceptance is, you have to play the hand you're dealt, and whether you like it or not. And you can stomp your feet, and you know what? You get back to gratitude again. It's like, okay, sun came up today. I had money for food. I got to talk to a friend. I got to see the stars. I got to, that kind of thing, the simple things that when it's really crappy, that's how it is. That's how it is. You look at, you just start ticking off the things that you're grateful for. And that's distracting from the chaos. That's distracting from the pain.
Right. Totally.
Keeping it simple. When we tend to, I heard a very, very detailed description of, I won't even get into what it was, but I heard someone describe their theory on why something was the way it was. And I didn't agree with the theory. And I thought, let's go back to Occam's razor. It's the simplest solution usually. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be convoluted. It's the straight line between 2 points. It's not, and maybe we create the big complicated thing because it makes us feel better. That there had to be some reason. Well, there doesn't have to be some reason. Shit just happens sometimes. And you're just not special. It just happens.
I think sometimes that makes it easier to handle. To me, at least. Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel so personal. You don't feel so picked on. Yeah.
No.
Like, why did the meteor crash through my house? Yeah. And I think that helps you move on. Okay, that's how it is. Let's move on.
It makes it a lot less emotional. Takes a lot of the emotion out of it.
Now, that's a really good point. And like we said before, if the emotion goes up, the intellect goes down. And then
lizard brain.
Reason your way through it. Yep. And lizard brain isn't going to help you.
Lizard brain definitely does not help.
No, it just makes you bite. We were laughing. I was looking up how many alligators are there, There's 5 million alligators in the United States. 1.25 million of them are in Florida. And I think, how many alligators bite people every year? How many alligators? And I was at someone's house recently, and he was saying, oh, yeah, we've got a jaguar. We've got, not the car, we've got a jaguar. We've got a couple of bobcats. And he said, a bunch of coyotes and alligators. And I thought, and you live there? Why? He said, well, we don't have small dogs anymore. And I'm thinking, no, I bet you don't. You don't see any Yorkies in your neighborhood, not
Yeah,
really.
and cats out either, because those look like good snacks.
That's a snack for a coyote, right? And I think about this and I think, no, it makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense. But
I hear you.
I don't know. We had dinner with some friends, and our friend is a self-made guy and hardworking and very generous. I know the things that he's done. And he told an interesting story tonight. He had done well, and he invested in real estate. And he had a friend who was in business and working for other people. And he said to his friend, come on, buddy, you've got the ability. Friend was unhappy with the job. You've got the ability to do this on your own. And the guy was saying how much money he brought to the business. And he said, well, that could be all yours if you worked. And the man didn't have the courage to do it on his own. And our friend encouraged him to do it, so much so that he bought the building and said, here, now you work in it and you pay me, you buy it back from me, and set all this up. And then he told the story about that the friend sent him a bill for some work after he'd done all this for him.
Wow.
And it was a really neat story to remind us how easily we lose our gratitude. Do you know what I mean? We forget. We didn't get here but for the mentorship of somebody, but for the let me show you the way, or but for a scholarship maybe, or, I worked to get I paid the money, I worked, you had how many jobs? I know you and I've talked about all that stuff. I know that, but I think it's easy to forget how people have helped you along the way. And then when you have a catastrophe, like some of the things that have happened, that you and I've talked about, the illness of your daughter, you really remember the good things. I mean, I guess some people, you can get better or you can get bitter. I think some people don't.
Oh, absolutely. You can either break or you emerge stronger.
Yeah. But I think, wow, if you forget how people have been kind to you, I don't know how you live like that. I don't know how. We live in a tough world right now. We live in a violent world, but at the same time, there's a lot of love out there. There's a lot of generosity. There's a lot of kindness. There's a lot of, look at the networking that you're doing of all the people that you're connecting with in the Women's Entrepreneur Network, that they're getting things by talking to each other. People are giving away their heart. They're giving away their experience, their strengths, their hopes. They're saying, this is how I did it. This is what worked for me. And that generosity of spirit, man, if you can't be grateful for that, we can't forget that stuff. It's too important.
Absolutely. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for these times that we have, albeit here we are at 10 o'clock at night because I couldn't get my computer up. I couldn't get the sound up. Couldn't get the password in. And it's a brand new computer. And I'm like ready to cry. My husband's helping me. I'm calling Haley on my cell phone saying, can you hear me? And she can hear me, but I can't hear her. Oh my gosh. And I think I get an F in effective coping and an A in ineffective coping on days like this. And I think,
but we got here.
we got here. Exactly. Here we are. We got it done. And I think, you know, how important is it? You get it done. There's important stuff in life, and you can't get caught up like this. So I'm grateful for you, Haley Gray. I'm very grateful for you and the things that you have modeled for so many people, and the things that you have been willing to share to help people be as good as they can be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's my goal. How do I make 1 million lives better?
One life at a time.
One at a time. That's all we can do.
I'm trying to make 1 million lives better too, but there's something else that I'm doing. You're doing it through business. This is my thing right now. I believe we can make our country and our world a better place, one person at a time, if when we do something wrong, we recognize it, we say we're sorry, unless to do so would hurt them or hurt other people. Not like, oh, I'm really sorry I had an affair with your husband. No, that's just wrong. But and then seek a better path so that you don't do it again. Seek to have a better life. I think that we can make our world a better place, that we can restore our greatness one person at a time by turning away from those things that we've done wrong and do wrong and continue to do wrong, that maybe we need to go down another street, you know? So that's my outreach, is not in a sense of judging anybody. I don't need to know what it is anybody did wrong. I'm just saying, for me, the repentance of the wrong and being willing to do it differently. So something to think about.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love it. Thanks, guys.
Glad to be here. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and have a blessed Easter.
And we're going to crash and burn.
You just pitch those eggs onto that football field, and I want to see the video.
I'll do it. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Good night.